Okay, well, thank you everyone. My name is Oscar Chavez and I'm representing the Battle Center today. And generally what happens with this kind of talk is that you don't have an idea of the person who's talking to. So I'm gonna introduce myself really briefly. I'm from Chile originally, that's why my English is gonna be kind of broken sometimes. Married, 2 kids, I'm gonna turn 10 years of marriage this year, which is crazy. It's very, very crazy, but it's worth it. So the guys are still single, good for it, it's worth it. And the people that are struggling those 3-4 years probably keep going because it's worth it, it gets better. And right now I'm studying my MBA here at BYU. I'm a second year MBA and I'm majoring mostly in human resources and strategic organizational development. It's kind of like a big word, but it's related to the fun stuff of organizations. And that's basically it about me. So, that Battle Center. First of all, who has heard of the Battle Center? Can just show of hands. Okay, so a lot of people. That's good. Who has participated in anything related to the Battle Center? Again, show of hands. Okay, I got a lot of people as well. That's great. For the rest of us, who came to BYU because they wanted to make a change in the world? They wanted to make the world a better place. Okay, there are a couple of people that didn't really raise their hands. Okay, that's okay. Probably money. That's something that you're trying to do. That's why you're here. And again, how many of you have seen from your experience that a lot of really good intentions of changing the world to better fails? Again, show of hands. Okay, so I'm guessing that you are here because you know that there are a lot of things that you can do better in the world. And that's actually the reason of the existence of the Battle Center. The Battle Center is a center such as the Rollins Entrepreneurship Center or the Kennedy Center in International Development School. And the main objective of the center is to help students thrive in the concept of social innovation, to understand, to share knowledge, and also to apply that knowledge. And what social innovation is, and very simple, it's trying to solve the same old problems like poverty and hunger and education in an innovative way. So I'm guessing that there are a lot of linkages of what you are doing right now and what the Battle Center can offer you. So social innovation is related to this. And you can have an NGO that's doing something like working with refugees in France, but trying to have this closer contact with the refugees, offering them housing for free with citizens. Or you can be a for-profit organization that it's taking all of the products that, or all the garbage that Costco and other supermarkets are not using, turning it into compost and then selling them back again as compost, either to Costco or some other organization for a profit. And the Battle Center helps with all of that. So it's very big and very broad. This is super simple. I don't know if the guys on the videos can see it, but I'll just kind of like mention it so you can see it. And I can also send it to you guys through email or something, so you can have that resume. The summary of what we do. But here's kind of like a summary of all the programs, of all the events, of all the things that we do in the Battle Center. Some of the things may interest you, some of the things may be like, eh, and some of the things may be really passionate, like, oh, that's actually what I've been looking for. So we provide internships, and those internships can be on campus or off campus internships. On campus internships means that we're gonna give you a 1 to 3 credit class that you get to have kind of like a field study, on-hands project with a company, with an organization. All of our organizations are either going to be Ashoka or Skull sponsored. And Ashoka and Skull are both of great foundations that are looking for social entrepreneurs, that they're actually doing great things. So they're approved by them, and we work with them as a partner. Also, you can have off-campus internships. So in the summer, if you want to do something, but you don't want to go maybe to the private sector, or you want to do something different, we have a variety of organizations that you can work with. And in topics It could be either design, it could be education, it could be business, marketing, depending on what the organization is looking for. Then we have a lot of classes that you can take. On a graduate level, there's also a minor that you can take in social innovation. So you could end this year as a social innovation minor. I think it's 4 credits that you need to take. So it's not a lot of stuff that you need to, or a lot of classes that you need to take, but they're really good classes. There's some classes kind of like where is it? Do Good Better, which is kind of like a foundation. So you can do good, but better. So they're going to teach you all the techniques, the design thinking, everything that comes into it. You can also take some classes such as impact investing. So if you want to know, and if you want to have your own foundation or your own NGO sometime, you're going to have to ask for money. And now there's some organizations, some foundations that actually give money, kind of like a venture capitalist will do with a private organization. So they're going to take into consideration everything that you're going to do, kind of like your business model, how you're going to grow your organization, etc., plus the social impact side of things. And the impact investing professor that's teaching it, he has a ton of experience doing this. He actually said, like, I'm going to give that to someone else. I'm going to be teaching because I actually won a lot of money doing it in the process, and I feel kind of bad because of that. Because I just wanted to do good, but because of most of the organizations have a really nice, solid business model, they actually have higher returns than the traditional startups in the private sector. Then you have some clubs. For graduate students, we have the Graduates for Social Innovation. So you can get into the webpage, you can get in touch with the people there. They meet once a month, and they always have lecturers that come from this side, from the social innovation side, to talk with students, and we always have kind of like a case, a problem that they're facing, and we're going to try to solve it. We also have some competitions. I'm going to talk after about that, and then some events. So probably you've heard about the Hanker Banquet. We are co-sponsoring it for 2 years in a row now with the Kennedy Center, and that's going to happen on February, which is a very, very cool and awesome event. You get to sit down, and probably you're going to have rice and beans sitting on the floor, or you're going to have a catered meal, kind of like a lasagna, depending on the social economic population that you're going to be randomly selected. So you get into that, and 70% are going to be eating the floor, rice and beans, and then kind of like the 10% of the students are going to be eating this catered meal, and then the rest of us are going to be eating probably hot dog or a pizza or something. And usually you'll have a keynote speaker, very cool stuff. Also, the Perry Film Festival that just happened kind of like 3 months ago, last semester. We have a lot of documentaries, and a lot of students also put their documentaries and short films, and it's a really nice way to get to know people in this sector. We also have the TEDx BYU. It's going to come on March probably, and it's always a great event, and we host that event as well. And then for the competition, so you want to do good, and you also want to win money in the process, competitions are for you. So some of the competitions that you can have are, for example, the White Prize. White Prize is a long-term competition. There's a subject already defined. So right now we're working with 2 things. One's a solar lamp, and another thing is a respirator for babies. And you get to get a team, and basically the competition is how you can market it in a development country. So you can go to Africa, you can go to Asia, you can go to Latin America, and try to market that to people that need either light or respirators. And for that, you can actually win up to $30,000 to $50,000 of money to actually launch that. Yes, I have a question with that.
So I assume you probably realize that this is a graduate school, graduate program. Are these competitions all open to graduate students?
Oh yes, yes. Okay. So that's a really good question. The competitions are both for undergrads and graduate students alike.
Great.
So you can participate with no problem. You need to have at least 1 student in your team, and you can also have people from that are not BYU students that can also participate. But at least one of you needs to be a BYU student. Also, if you have an idea, but you like the money or the connections or just a mentoring, we can also help you with that. We have the venture social academy that helps you with the launching of your idea. So if you say like, I really want to do this, but I need more resources. I need to have another partner. I maybe need some seed money to start it. I also need to know who's in the Utah Valley that can help me, or if you want to launch it somewhere else, do you have the connections? We can help you with that. And that competition is you against you. So you need to pass some hurdles, some deadlines or things like that, and you're going to get either money or you're going to get more mentorship or more connections. So we help you, and even if you're out of the school and you graduate, you can still be part of this program and continuing with that. So we have a couple of really successful ideas that have actually launched with that. There's one very interesting called Ambrosia Milk. I don't know if you've heard about it, but they actually pay mothers in Thailand with all the breast milk that they're not using anymore because their kids grown up but they still have milk. So they pump up the milk and then they pasteurize it and they sell it here. And it's a very interesting idea, but it's actually very successful because here there are a lot of mothers that don't have milk for several reasons. Either they're adopting or biologically they can't have milk. So they need the breast milk in order to help their children, their babies. So it's all approved, FDA approved, and that organization is actually growing. They have things with Costco and also with what's this organic food market? Sprouts. And Whole Foods, yeah, that they have acquired deals. So successful things that are happening in that space. And if you don't want to have that commitment, but you want to do like a shorter commitment, but still be involved with this, there's another competition called the Social Innovation Solutions Competition. And this competition is just a week of your time that you're going to need to create a video of a solution for a problem, and it's a real problem. So right now, and that's the actual page for you guys to sign if you're interested in it. There's going to be an info session for this competition, and we're going to launch it now on February. On the 1st of February is the kickoff for this competition. And what you're going to do is that you're going to work with a refugee organization. This refugee organization that I was mentioning that's based in France. And what they're wanting to do now is that they want to expand internationally and globally. They've been successful in some countries such as Germany and Belgium, but not as successful in Morocco and Turkey. So they want to know, how can I expand globally now and create this model internationally? And they're very open. So some of the business students are like very fixed on the business problem, so they're looking for like, do they need a business strategy? And we told them no. What the organization is actually looking is something very broad. They even told us like, that hip hop is an international movement. They are everywhere, so everyone can start a hip hop band, but you have a clear set of rules that you need to follow in order to be hip hop. That is something that we want. So something that can work in the constraints that they need and the challenges that they're facing. So if you're interested in that, please come to the info session on the 25th of January at 6 p.m. It's going to be on the web. And if you just go to the bit.ly address, they're going to have all the information with the address and things. Prize money is $4,000 for the winner, $2,000 for the second prize, and $1,000 for the third prize, if you're interested in the money. And well, that's it. So if you want to know a little bit more about the Battle Center, I have some the annual report. I'll take it to the back just for you to look at it. And I also gave some brochures. So if you're interested, there's some brochures here. And you can also go to the Battle Center page. You can Google it just like Battle Center BYU. Or you can come to this web page that's in the middle of the brochure, and you can sign up for an advisement session. There's going to be a graduate advisor just for you, so you can talk in more depth, like, okay, I heard this Chilean guy come to one of our seminars, so I just want to know a little bit more about it. I'm interested in this and this and this, or help me to understand where could I be of more help, okay? So that's it for me. I don't know if you have any questions. I'll open for that.
Yeah, so a lot of the stuff you mentioned has been focused on certain things like development. Are there any projects that have gone forward having to do specifically with education?
Oh, yes.
I mean, I know typically organizations that provide grants for stuff like this also have like development, third world countries or other countries for education, other projects going forward like that.
Yeah, so there are no competition in that sense, but more for the internship projects that have been in the past, a lot of that. So for example, for specifically for your case, it's been a lot of instructional design. It's like, how can we have this nice entrepreneurial curriculum that we want to have everyone to know about, but we have limited resources. We just can't have 200 people traveling around the world. We need it to be e-learning or blended learning or something like that in order to help us. And sometimes the organizations have like a really fixed mentality and how they want to do that. But that's one of the things that they do. Another thing is to assessing and evaluating the effectiveness of that curriculum. So sometimes what has happened in the past is that, okay, we have something for school children, and we want to teach them coding. One of the examples that I remember right now. But we don't know if we're having the impact. We only know the amount of clicks that the kids are doing, and that's the only thing that we're measuring right now. So it's more of like coverage, but we don't know if they're learning. So one of the interests was like, let's create an impact metric that they can actually use to understand if the kids are actually learning or not. I don't know if that answers your question.
And then, as far as competitions go, when like the Social Venture Academy, is that similar ideas could be presented there and
Yes.
you could be mentored on those projects as well?
Yes, so for example, for this year, there's this guy in Mexico, and he's wanting to develop kind of like an social media entrepreneur for young kids. So how can you be a YouTuber? How can you use social media better and actually start winning some money into that in impoverished countries? So he's developing a model related to that, and he's actually have some deals with some Mexican schools and some Colombian schools. And that's through the SBA, so through the social venture. Yeah, other questions?
I'm looking at the clubs things. What kind of goes on with those two clubs that are listed there?
So the first club, it's going to be undergrads, and the second club, it's going to be graduates. That's basically the main difference. And for graduates for social innovation, the cool thing about it is that you actually get to have more hands-on than the undergrads. The undergrads are going to have kind of like more lectures, so they're going to meet in a setting just like this, and maybe they're going to ask for a refugee organization that a representative comes and talk to them about what they're doing. For the graduate students, could be the same setting, but then that organization is going to let them know about a problem that they're facing. You know, we are having this issue. We're not communicating our message correctly. People still don't understand that refugees aren't a threat or whatever. So help me solve it. So we just brainstorm and give inputs and create some model that they can actually use and take to their organization. So it's kind of like a two-way thing, that I receive some connections as a graduate student, and then I can give back my knowledge and the expertise that I've been gaining at school. And they generally meet once a month, generally on Wednesday or Thursday, 6 or 7 p.m. They always provide nice food, so that's a good incentive. Free pizza or J-Dogs or whatever.
Another question.
Yeah, go.
So back to the like education projects or things like that. You know, like I was wondering if you could describe like any like specific examples or more than of that, if you're know about this, kind of like what would be an example, one project, and how did it all kind of go down?
Yeah. So this one about the metric. So this was an entrepreneurial kind of thing, small organization, 5 to 10 people, but they were growing really fast. So they were in a Ashoka sponsor fellow. I can't remember the name right now, so I can put it afterwards. But they came to BYU and they said, like, you know, we need to understand how to, what's the impact? Are the children actually learning what we're teaching them through coding? So then a team of 3 to 5 students came in, and they were from different majors. There wasn't any graduate student at that time, only undergrads, but there were 2 from education. One was a business major, and one was a digital marketing major. So they came with kind of like a model of metrics. So they said, okay, this is the final outcome. This is the objective that you want to do, and then let's put on the dimensions of what you want to evaluate, and this is how you probably have the metrics. And they gave them back to the organization. So it was kind of like a 4-month project.
And are the projects, are they typically like the Ballard Center has these connections and they say, oh, here's some upcoming projects we need help with? Or do students come up with ideas and then approach you guys? Where do the ideas come from?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's both ways. Mostly has been the Ballard Center providing the organizations, just because we have a lot of connections. And the partners that we work with, they have several years working with us, so they trust us. But there have been some of students coming, and now what we want to have is more of student-driven projects that they want to have, because we also want to expand our network and our connections. The only requirements is that they need to follow they need to be social entrepreneur or social innovation minded. So just to give you an example, we don't work with Catholic Charities, even though they're a huge organization and the LDS Church works with them. And they're a huge partner in a lot of things, and they're doing a lot of good throughout the world. But because their model is more of like, let's alleviate poverty than let's eliminate poverty, we don't work with them. So we need to really understand kind of like the mission and the objective and how that organization works in order to be vetted for the rest. That would be the only requirement. Any other questions? In the back.
My question is really simple. Is it located in the Wilk, the Ballard Center?
That's an awesome question. I should have started with that. Yes, the best secret kept in campus. You're right. No, the Ballard Center actually is in the Tanner building in the Marriott School. It's on the 3rd floor. So if you know where the Global Management Center is on the 3rd floor, we're right next to it. We kind of share spaces. And everyone's going to be super happy to, if you just go there and you're like, again, we're Chilean, told a bunch of stuff. I hardly remember anything, but I thought it was cool, so I'm just gonna go there. And you have Nerf guns and really nice stuff that you can also play with. But yeah, excellent question. And we're generally open school time, so from 8 to 5. And someone's gonna be there taking any questions from you.
Those classes, and keeping in mind like this audience here, like instructional design kind of stuff, would there be any one of those classes that you think would be like fit most for?
Yeah, so at least 2 of them that are kind of like foundational, if you want to know a little bit more about the models, experience of other organizations that are doing this kind of things, would be Do Good Better and social innovation lectures. That I don't know if they're listed there, but at least those 2 would be kind of like, the lecture series, the social entrepreneurship lecture series. So at least those 2 would be kind of like foundational into what you want to do. Then it's going to depend a little bit on your idea. I was talking about this impact investing. This is more money driven. There's another one very similar that you actually have a fund and you're going to receive an NGO and you're going to evaluate if you're going to give that money to the NGO, which can, for me, it's very, very interesting. But then there's another one for graduate students that you can be part of a board of an NGO. So depending on your expertise, they can say like, hey, we actually need someone from the design space or from the education space. Can he be part of, kind of like an expert advisor into what we're doing? So you can be part of that too and learn, again, hands on how they work, how they operate. Those are kind of like the ones that I remember at the back of my head.
Is your internship database open for students to explore, or does it have to be explored through a counselor there at the Ballard Center?
Both. So right now it's closed because we're actually creating the database again. We're finishing that. So I would advise that you go to one of the counselors and talk, because they have the most recent list. So you're not gonna see it right now on the webpage, but in general it's gonna be March, April. It's gonna open up for students.
And is there metadata attached with the internships that would indicate if it's, you know, if the need in the internship has something to do with education or instruction or design of, you know, instructional materials or anything like that?
Yes. So in general, what's going to happen is they're going to have the name of the organization, the problem or the topic that they want to have students with. So probably you're going to have the same organization listed 5 times, but with different problems or with different needs. And then kind of like the requirements, the timing, if they're going to pay you or not, or things like that. Oh, with that, we can also help you with grants. Some of the internships are unpaid internships, but we can help you with kind of like a modest stipend. That's a popular word right now with LDS. A modest stipend of the cost of living for the summer. Excellent. I don't know if there's any questions from the people that side. No, it appears not.
I have one more question.
Sure.
What's one project that you thought was really cool?
So one project that I really, it was a very interesting project. It's called Apopo, and this is a sniffing rat organization. So what they do is that they train rats to sniff anti-personal mines. I was reading into that organization, and to actually find a mine and then remove it, it's like $20,000 or something like that, cost of mine. So it's super expensive. And they said like, well, rats are actually really good at identifying stuff. So we can train them for like, I think it was like $1,000 or something like that. And they can go and do it. And now they're training them to find tuberculosis. So because the rats are so good at sniffing, they can actually, and they're even better than a lot of the scientific techniques, and it takes less time to actually do all the analysis. So they just put the sample to the rat, they sniff it, and they're like, I don't know what they do. Something. And yeah, so they're able to recognize that, which I found that it was pretty cool. It was very nice. There's another organization that we worked with last year for the competition. They're a fair trade organization. I don't know if you've heard about this, but one of the biggest problems that we have in the world is that for farmers, subsistence farmers, when they sell their products, they'll sell it super cheap because their local market, it's developed that way. So they have this middleman, and then this middleman sells to those big companies, and they receive a lot of money off that. So what fair trade is trying to do is that they're trying to cut the middleman, go directly to the farmers, and then sell it to the stores but the final customer. So farmers can actually increase their revenues by 7 times, which for a family that's less than $1 a day, $7 a day, it's a huge increase. And then there's this organization called Fertrasa. It's doing that, and they're also training the farmers with better farming techniques and stuff like that. So that's another cool organization that I thought it was interesting.
Oscar, I just want to make a comment, and then you can correct me if not, but I've talked with Todd Manwaring, the director of the Ballard Center, and they perceive education to be a social field and a social issue. So I just want to emphasize that a lot of what we do in this area of education could be relevant to social innovation. And so it doesn't have to be, it could be educational startups, I guess is what I'm saying. And that would be very, very much qualified to receive some of this assistance and counseling that you provide in the Ballard Center.
Totally, yeah. I personally believe that what you guys are doing right now, it's going to be the future of everything. the foundation of technologies and how technologies are changing the way we think and the way we learn. It's revolutionary. So I've learned more stuff surfing through the internet than the schooling that I received in Chile. So you have the biggest library in the universe right now at your disposition for free. It's just how you can tap it in a way that it's going to be valuable for everyone, so they can actually understand. But still in the reach of a lot of people. It's unreachable for a lot of folks. So yeah, education, it's definitely one of the things, and that's my personal thing. Education and entrepreneurship, those are the reasons of why I came to the Battle Center in the first place. Because I really want to do that, and when I go back to my country.
All right, well, we want to thank Oscar for his time today, so